Okay, good Mayed. Naftali would be proud. We got up to where we said Yom Tov was okay. Weather was good. Oh, you can't talk. It's people sleeping over there in the sukkah, sleeping in the sukkah. Okay, so we thank Hashem that they're able to learn Torah every day, and this was about learning. Shav the base of Migdash immediately. Learning the Nishma, Savagol the Basra Binyamin and San Sab Ben Tzion, and for Avndav Ben for Shlema for Avndav Ben Tzon Gedali Getzel Yasmin Figts Para. We're holding by Amar Rab Yochanan Mishum Rab Shimon Ben Yochai. It's on page Kufta Zion. That's 116a. How many lines down from the top? About eight lines down. Okay, it says like this. Amar Rab Yochanan Mishum Rab Shimon Ben Yochai. Kol Sheni Miniach Ben Liyarsha Kadosh Baruch Hu Malei Lav Evra. Rab Yochanan says the name of Rab Shimon Ben Yochai. Anyone that doesn't leave a son to inherit him, Hashem is filled with anger against him. Over here it says, it says that the expression is the inheritance will pass on. And Uksiv Hasam over there it says, Yom Evra Hayom Hahu, that day is the day of anger. So the word passing on, Evra or Avara, is the same word as anger. So we learned that if someone doesn't leave a son, it's referring to someone that doesn't want to get married because he doesn't want to have children, or someone that refuses to have children. So that would be his choice. So it's Hashem is angry with him. Now we'll see in the Gemara. It's not so simple that's pshat. We have another verse that says, "Asher ein Khalifa Islamei v'layara lekim." Recognize that from somewhere? You tell him. All right, and hey, where else do you recognize it from? Adam Bishalom. So, Adam Bishalom. Yeah, you familiar with that? So in that song it says, "Ashein Khalifa Islam," it means he doesn't have a replacement. Khalifas means a replacement, which means he doesn't have an inheritor, someone to replace him. Well, he doesn't fear God. So who is someone that doesn't fear God? Or who is someone that doesn't leave an inheritor? He doesn't have children. So Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, this is a machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Yeshua ben Levi, although he's quoted in the Brisa, but he's an Amira. Rabbi Yochanan is also an Amira, right? Chadamar, one of them said, who's it talking about that he doesn't fear God because he doesn't leave a replacement? Kol sheni miniach ben. He doesn't leave a son, so then that's is not God fearing. The other one says, Kol sheni miniach talmid. His replacement is not an inheritor, it means a student as a replacement. Okay, so we have a machlekes here, what the pasuk is referring to, someone that's not God fearing. Either he doesn't leave a student or he doesn't leave a son. Machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Who holds what? We don't know. It says Chad Amar, one says, once, right? When it says Chad Amar, it doesn't mean we don't know it says what. Right, but which one is this referring to? Right? So Tistayim, let it be settled. It's probably supposed to be the Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan Damar Talmud. Very nice. That Rabbi Yochanan was the one that said that it's going to be a Talmud. That it's someone that doesn't leave a student. Your wife told me not to expect you today.
Right. I'm going to tell you.
So it must be Rabbi Yochanan that says that someone that doesn't leave a student is the one that's not God fearing. Why? The Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, "Dein garmei da asiri bir." If you remember this Gemara in Brachas, it wasn't in Brachas or in Bab Metzia. In Brachas, Rabbi Yochanan lost all his children. He had 10 sons; they all passed away, and he wore as like a necklace. He wore the tooth of his youngest son. This is now the tooth The reason why I wore a tooth, because a tooth doesn't give off tummy. He wouldn't just wear a bone. It says over here it's a bone, but it's referring to a tooth, I think Tosfos says. So he would wear the reason why he would wear this is that he would try to console people, other people that had lost their children, and he would say, I also lost my children, and yeah, that doesn't sound like much of a consolation. But what was the story behind it?
Said, oh, like I lost 10. The guy was like, well, I'm wanting like what we want. If he lost 10, he's giving us
Okay, not a story behind him losing the son, but how he would console people. Okay. Gemara is saying now that if Rabbi Yochanan would be saying that someone that doesn't have children, that doesn't have an inheritor, is considered someone that's not God-fearing, so then Rabbi Yochanan would not be showing off that he lost his children. That would be like announcing to everyone that he's not God-fearing. Yeah. So it must be that he refers to someone that doesn't leave a student. It must be Rabbi Yochanan holds someone that doesn't leave a student is not God-fearing. I don't know about that. No, it sounds like that. Now the problem with this Gemara is that it doesn't match the way we were explaining it before. We were explaining before that someone that chooses not to get married. Rabbi Yochanan got married. It's not his fault that his children passed away. Right? However, there are two different separate Gemaras here. One is Kol Sheini Miniach Ben Liyarshai, and then there's the next Gemara, which was Ashein Khalifa Islamai. We're connecting the two of them. We're connecting the two of them. Kol Sheini Miniach Ben Liyarshai. It's interesting. That was a Gemara. The Gemara before was Rabbi Yochanan also. It was in the Rabbi Yochanan name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. This is just Rabbi Yochanan, which both Gemaras have the same point. Someone that doesn't leave an inheritor. So what's an inheritor? Over here we're saying must be Rabbi Yochanan holds. It means the student, not the son. Now the Gemara says, "Midir Rabbi Yochanan Talmud," by process of elimination. So if Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says that the student, someone that doesn't leave a student, is considered the not God-fearing. So Rabbi Shimon ben Levi, Amar Ben, it must be Rabbi Shimon ben Levi says the son. We're on 116. A. Not halfway down, a little under the halfway. But the problem is, Rabbi Shua ben Levi le'asal lebeitam yel lebeiman d'shachav b'leibani d'ksiv b'cho b'chay l'hoylech. Rabbi Shua ben Levi didn't just go to a house of mourning, because that would be like bittul Torah for him. But someone lost all his sons, that would be a different story. That he went to. So if someone that doesn't have any children to inherit him is considered not God-fearing, then why would Rabbi Shua ben Levi go to visit specifically him? Bavitcher, maybe. Gemara didn't think about that. That wasn't an option. So, Vam Rav Yudah Marav, Lahilach B'lei Ben Zach, it's referring to someone that doesn't have a male son to inherit him. Lahilach B'lei Banim is the other version of the Bach. Ella Rabbi Shua ben Levi Damar Talmud. It must be Rabbi Shua ben Levi held that who's the one that's not God-fearing is someone that didn't leave a student, not who didn't leave a son, because someone who didn't leave a son, Rabbi Shua ben Levi would visit them. So if Rabbi Shua ben Levi is the one that says student, then Rabbi Yochanan must be immediately Rabbi Shua ben Levi Damar Talmud. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ben. Rabbi Yochanan was the one that said a son. Now we have the Kasha and Rabbi Yochanan. Kasha Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan. The Kasha and Rabbi Yochanan, if Rabbi Yochanan says that someone that doesn't have a son, that doesn't leave a son to inherit him, is not God-fearing. Why was Rabbi Yochanan showing off that he lost all his sons? So it's like Kasha. It's not a question. Hadidei Ad Rabbi. Really, Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Shua ben Levi. He agrees with him. that someone that doesn't leave a student is the one that's not God-fearing. And so how do we have over here a machleka, someone that doesn't leave a son? We say that's referring to his teacher. That's probably Reb Shimon ben Yochai from the Gemara before, which we're considering now the teacher of Reb Yochanan. I have another Gemara like that, where he wasn't really a student, but he considers him the teacher. Mishum, in the name of, yeah. So, he was the one that held that someone that doesn't leave a son is considered not God-fearing. Okay. That was the machlekes. Is it a blood son or is it a spiritual son? That's machlekes. Okay. Simen Hadad Ani B'Chacham. Darish Pinchas Ben Chama. Pinchas Ben Chama taught. Ma'adik Siv. What's the meaning of the following pasuk? It says, "V'adad Shabam Mitzrayim Kishachav David Mamba." He said, "Chimes Yoav Sar Tzava." What happened was after David passed away, Shlomo ruled. After Shlomo passed away, so then there was the Psukim tell us about these enemies, the house of David, that were in different places. I forgot the names. But there was Hadad, and then there was some other fellow, and then there was he was an early king. Hadad ben Hadad was an early king. Hamakah something. This was a rebel. He ran to Egypt and became friendly with the king with Parai, and he wanted to leave. And Parai says, "No, stay with me." He wants to go back to fight or something. Then there was another guy, and then there was Yeravam ben Nevat. All of these were like escapees or refugees. And then after the Shlomo passed away, they resurface. I don't know exactly how the Hadad resurfaces, but Yeravam resurfaces. Anyway, it says Hadad heard in Egypt that David had passed away with his fathers. David lay with his fathers, and that Yoav died. Yoav was David's general. It says, why by David does it say that he lay with his fathers, which is an expression to mean that he died? But by Yoav it says literally that he died. Why is it two different expressions here? Yeah? What do you say? So Gemara answers like this. David Shiniach ben, David that left the son, Nebram B'Shchiva. It doesn't say that he died literally, it says that he lay. And Yoav, Shaleiniach ben, Yoav that didn't leave a son, Nebram by Misa. So it says that he died. It's like totally finished, right? Yeah. What is that? The last name? Oh yeah, that's the end of the line. No sons. The Gemara says, Yoav Leiniach ben. What are you telling me? Yoav didn't have a son. But it says in Ezra, Bnei Yoav Evadia ben Yechiel. It says that he has a son. David Shiniach ben Kamaisi Nemar B'Shchiva. David that left a son that was at his level, I guess Shlomo. So it says that he lay. But Yoav Shiniach ben Kamaisi Nemar B'Misa. He didn't have a son in his caliber. So it says over there that not that level. Okay. Darash Pinchas ben Chama. Pinchas ben Chama taught another teaching. Was this our second teaching from him or our third? It's our second. Second. It says Kasha Anias B'Teich Beis Shaladim Yesim Mechamisha Makis. Poverty in the house is worse than 50 plagues. All right, there were 10 plagues in Egypt. So times that by 5 is 50. and poverty is worse than that. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, "Chanuni, Chanuni, atemrei ki yad elika nagabi." Have pity on me, right? Chanuni is compassion. It literally means money. You want to say it means Torah knowledge? So that could be a pshat. Could be a pshat. We don't have a name for your book. You have Divri Rani. Naftali, what's the name for Hillel Sefer? Okay. So have pity on me, my friends, because the hand of God has touched me. Now, what's the hand of God? Well, if each plague of God was called etzba, was a finger, etzbelikim, and the hand of God would be 5 times as bad. Now, it says that the hand of God touched him. That this is when Job was suffering and all these ailments and everything. So V'kamile lechabre, he's telling his friend, V'kamile lechabre, rather, his friends tell him, Hishamar al tefen alaven ki al zeh b'chart miyoni. You shouldn't be complaining because you chose this over poverty. This is better than, it could be worse. Which means that poverty is worse than these plagues.
Trying it's the finger of God, and then
number 10 here by year, the hand of God. That means that it's hand that's all 5 fingers.
So now we're just doing a bunch of things as a Pinchas.
Yeah, Pinchas ben Chama. Darish Pinchas bar Chama. This is the last one. This is 3. Kol sheyesh lechayla b'teich beisi yelech etzel chacham yivakish lavrachamim. Anyone that has a ill person in his house, he should go to the sage and he should ask for compassion. Shnemar Chamas melech malachim maves v'shchacham yichaprena. The anger of the king is the angels of death, and a wise man can cleanse that. You go to the chacham to ask for to daven for the sick person. What is the connection between all 3? Yeah, do they tell you any notes on this? What are these 3 statements? How's this last one coming in? Just because it's the Chama bar Chanina, or Pinchas bar Chama. You're beholding Kufta Zion. He doesn't connect to the Mashar. He doesn't connect it together. He just says, maybe it says Vayar Yisrael Siyada G'dayla. They saw the great hand of Hashem is how they made Egypt poor, because we said that the hand was always, well, there were more plagues by the sea, right? That's that price that we quote in God.
The hand was also used as a choice promise. Hashem took Israel with his right hand.
Right. Right.
It's not necessarily always related to something detrimental or
Right.
bad for some
Could be salvation. Okay.
Also salvation.
Right. Okay, now the Gemara has these questions. Boy Rami bar Chama. Rami bar Chama has the following. Pinchas bar Chama is probably a relative of Rabbi Chanina bar Chama, who was an early sage in Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Chanina bar Chama was a student of Rabbi. So this may be Pinchas bar Chama, maybe a relative of his. Then there was Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, that was his son. So this could be, Pinchas bar Chama could be Rabbi Chama bar Chanina's son. Pinchas bar Chama bar Chanina bar Chama. Right? That's I'm sorry? Now we have Rami Bar Chama. Oh, that's what you want to say. Rami Bar Chama is not from my understanding, would not be related to Rav Pinchas Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama is a sage in Bavel. Rav Pinchas Bar Chama looks like he's from Israel because it says Rebbe. Rebbe means, does Rebbe mean he's from Eretz Yisrael, or Rebbe means he has smicha? Rebbe means he's from Eretz Yisrael, or he's a teacher. Rebbe could mean a teacher from Eretz Yisrael, but Rami Bar Chama doesn't give us that what's it called, the title? Doesn't give a what do you call that? The thing before the name that the airlines make you put on, Mr., Mrs. something. No, there's a word for it. Anyway, Rami Bar Chama doesn't have that. He's a son-in-law of Rav Chisda. He's a friend of Rava. It says his question goes like this. First question, and then he asks the second question. Avi ha'av v'achi ha'av. Very nice of him. He gives us an example. In Avram v'Yishmael b'nichsei Esav, the father's father and the father's brother in the inheritance of the grandson. So we have Avram has a son Yitzchak, and Yitzchak has a son Yaakov and Esav. So we're talking about, we decided to choose Esav as the one that passed away because let's deal with Esav passing away rather than Yaakov, right? So Esav passed away, and now Yitzchak is also not around, so Yitzchak doesn't inherit. Yitzchak would come first, right? But now, who comes first? Does the father, does the father's brother come first, Yishmael, or does the father's father come first, which is Avram? Ezem Kaidim, who comes first? We're talking about where Esav doesn't have children. That's we're just using names. Rava says Tashima. That's not a question. Rava's Rami Bar Chama's friend. It says of course the father comes first. Avram comes before Yishmael in the inheritance, right? Because it always goes up to the father, then it goes sideways. It always goes up one and then sideways.
And over here it says Esau is used as an example because his children were wicked like himself.
Okay.
They were the same.
Okay. Rami Bar Chama, what was Rami Bar Chama asking? If it's so obvious, Rabbi just answered him like on the spot. It's clearly in our Mishnah. It says, Agav Chorfid Layayin Bas, because he was getting ready to ask the following question, which is a very sharp question. So he wasn't so careful about his first question. It was just a lead up to his next question. Rami Bar Chama's next question goes like this. Avia, which is Avram. Father's father is Avram, right? We're dealing with the possessions of Esav. Avia Av Ba'achiv. And the father's, not the father's brother, and his own brother. Avram and Yaakov. See, now we already have a question because the way it works is like this. It goes from Esav, it goes to Yitzchak. Now, at Yitzchak's point, it should go down because the sons inherit the father. But we also know that the father, it goes up before it goes down. So if Yitzchak has a father, Avram, that's like maybe Avram should inherit before it goes. See, before it goes to Yishmael, it for sure goes to Avram to go down. Now he's asking, but does it go up one more level before it goes down? So he says like this: Amarava, Tashima, the father comes before all the. So
as long as there's a father.
As long as there's a father, it goes back. It goes to Avram. Rami Bar Chama. What does Rami Bar Chama say? Only if it goes to only the father comes before his own descendants, not before the descendants of his son. Okay, and that's the way we learned it before. Gemara now says, it's also logical to say the way Rami Bar Chama says it, Tiktani, this is the rule. Anyone that comes first. So not only does he come first, but all his descendants come first. For example, if there was a brother that was alive. So it's not just the brother that's going to inherit, let's say the son. The sons inherit before the daughters. So, right? Let's say it was go like that. So the sons inherit, and if the son's not around, so his children will inherit before it goes to the daughter. And then when you go up a level, so it goes, his sons will inherit before the sisters. And then when you go up a level, it's the fathers, it's the brothers will inherit before them. So what we're saying now is that if Yitzchak was supposed to inherit, so Yitzchak and all his descendants should be inheriting before it goes up one level, which would be Yaakov.
Far enough that we need to look.
Right. Right. And if Yitzchak was alive, Yitzchak would come first. Hashanami the lesser Yitzchak. Now that Yitzchak's not alive, Yaakov kaidem, so Yaakov comes first. Shema Mina. You see from this, the Rami Bar Chama's way of learning was correct over Rava, which is interesting. There's a Rashbam over here that gives 17 halachas. So he divides all the halachas that we learned into 17 cases. And the Rashbam is the Hachinam Mistabra one. And if you go one line down in the widest lines, it says Vahashta Shaminan Mi Pirkin Sheseder Nachles Kachu. We've learned from our chapter the following order of Nachalas. It says Ruvain Shemes. I don't know if we should go through the whole thing, but he does every possibility here. It's talking about Ruvain all the way back to Yishmael, taking it back. Who's going to get? He dies. The whole family tree. Who gets first? And if this and that and this. So I marked it out. It was 17 different possibilities. Okay.
Didn't we learn that boys, their bar mitzvah can't actually acquire anything? So therefore, if someone has a son,
They acquire, they can't be willingly.
I thought they couldn't own the property.
No, with someone else giving them, they can acquire. That's why by the lulav, the father gives lulav to his son, he can't get it back to be his anymore. He can give him, but he can't take. Can't transfer ownership to the child. Yeah, it ends up, if you lend it on condition, if you not lend it, I give it to you as a gift on condition that you return it, and it was never given to him as a gift because you can't return it. Any child, right? No, only for, it would apply for an adult if the adult doesn't return it. It's on condition, right? On condition means that he returns.
Sorry, I just thought that children really irresponsible. These things give 5-year-olds nice things.
No.
And they're like,
If
I just bought a bunch of candy. Yeah, no, most.
We're not.
There's acceptance there.
No, but the concept is that you don't have the ability to keep it up. It's tested there. They take it and they can't keep it up.
Okay, so they could use the whole inheritance.
Yeah, but that doesn't affect the laws of inheritance. I know a story. There was this guy. The family didn't like him. He was, it was like a different. He went to a different beat. It's like a different sort of guy. Anyway, so the father passed away, and the brothers they decided not to give him the inheritance. They didn't trust him. What he's going to do with the money? It's a different sort of. Anyway, it's like a whole fight over this. This is, just because I don't know how to spend money doesn't mean you're not going to give it to me.
What happened?
He ended up getting it. Anyway, they were trying to protect the money. Anyway, it doesn't work it doesn't work just because you don't know what you're doing. The child is like a child doesn't mean he doesn't get it. Still gets it. Okay, new Mishnah. Daughters of Tzlafchan, they wanted to go into Israel and get land. He said, but our father passed away. Are we going to get land? So they complained to Moshe Rabbeinu. Turns out, not only did they get land, they got 3 portions of land each. Well, I don't know each. they were daughters. They divided up, the 5 daughters divided up 3 portions of land. They divided between the 5 of them. What are the 3 portions of land that they got? It says, Gimel Chalkim Benachla, an inheritance of Eretz Yisrael. First of all, they got Chelek Aviyim, their father. Shahayim Yetzim Mitzrayim. This opinion said, like, how was the land of Israel divided up? Was it divided up by the people that entered the land? That would be the simple thing. Okay, guys, welcome to Israel. I'm going to give each of you 1 portion of the land. Here's your ticket. Go get your, go get your portion. That's one possibility, right? Other possibility is that it was really divided up by the people that left Egypt. And then you had to show up with your passport, your birth certificate that says your parents' name. And they said, look, my father left Egypt. I need an inheritance. So it's either Yetzi Mitzrayim or Boy Haaretz. Which one is it? Who gets the? So this opinion over here is saying that it goes by the ones that left Egypt. So B'nai Tzlafchad, the daughters of Tzlafchad is a fellow that left Egypt. And he was 20 years old. That's very significant. He had to have been 20 years old when he left Egypt because he had to be part of that first counting, 600,050 or whatever it was. What was it? 550. They came from the Shevet of Yosef.
Did Tzlafchad have any brothers?
Ben Menashe, was it Menashe?
Did he have any brothers?
Did Tzlafchad have brothers? I think so. Yeah. He had brothers.
God fearing and the son, they kept referring to as a son. Does it have to be a boy or?
We said a son would be a boy, an inheritor, but maybe it doesn't.
I mean,
No, the Gemara's term before for it doesn't leave a son was a ben, son. Ben Liyarshay. But the daughters would also inherit. Yeah, well, he died because of the sins, right? Right. We're talking about Tzlafchad. Hillel's asking in the new Sefer, of Hillel, he's asking, was Tzlafchad considered the person that we said before? He passed away without sons. He's not God fearing. So I said, well, it says he died because of the sins, but it could mean that that before it means that he doesn't have a son to inherit him. If he has daughters to inherit him, that's good enough. It meant over there, no one to inherit. Shabbos. Yeah, that's the Gemara.
According to Ashman, if you have children and they're wicked, it's as if you have some life. That could be implied
Right.
But these are righteous.
No, they were righteous, I know.
So first is Chelek Aviyim Shem Yetz Mitzrayim. Tzlafchad himself. Chelka Yem Echav. And also there was another person here that they're inheriting from, which is the grandfather. His name was Chefer. Chefer. Chefer was Tzlafchad's father. Now Tzlafchad has a portion because he left Egypt. Anyone that left Egypt gets a coupon, get a portion in the land of Israel. Then Chefer, who was his father, also left Egypt. Chefer passed away. Who gets his? Who gets? You'll see in a second. Who says that Chefer also has this coupon, right? A piece of the land of Israel. So who gets that? Tzlafchad is his son. So Tzlafchad gets it. And B'shaya Bechar Neitel Shnei Chalakim. And also Tzlafchad happened to be the oldest of Chefer's sons. So not only does he get before we made it look like he gets the whole thing. He doesn't get the whole thing. He gets you divide however many siblings there were, you divide it by one extra one, and he gets 2 of those portions. So that now the B'nai Tzlafchad, what are the 3 portions? Tzlafchad's portion, Chefer, a portion of Chefer, and a double portion of Chefer because Tzlafchad was the firstborn. Okay, Tanan. Gemara says that our Mishnah would be following the opinion that the land of Israel is divided according to those that left Egypt. The number was slightly different. It's just about the same, 600,000. But I think when they left Egypt, I think it was 600, was it 603, 550? You remember the numbers? And then when they came to the land of Israel, it was 601, 730. Something like that. I don't remember exactly the numbers. But whatever the case is, there's a machlekes, as we'll see. The Tanya was started in a brisa. Rabbi Yoshia says that the land was divided according to the people that left Egypt. Shnemar l'shemeis mates avaisam, according to the names of the tribes of their fathers. That's how the land is going to be divided. Yinchalo, they'll inherit. Who's them avaisam? The people that left Egypt. Yeah. Yeah, that was how to divide it up. But who was there standing in line waiting to get it? Or how was that allotted?
What
Okay.
they got was by the room too. But who got it? This was I don't know.
That was no, there was no one left from the people that came out of Mitzrayim to except for Yeshua and Caleb, right? And the people from maybe from Levi, the women were left. The tribe of Levi, they passed away in the desert. Remember? It was because of the spies. Because it means they would also have passed away. They would also have passed away in the desert. 20 to 60 all passed away. How old was Pinchas when he was born in the Midbar? So the fact that he survived, that means because he was underage. Yeah. So the tribe of Levi also. Just Yeshua and Caleb. And the women. Well, Alamani Mekayim Leila Techal Karts Benachlas. What do I do with the pasuk that says, to these we'll divide the land? Leila is talking about these that are coming into the land of Israel. And here you're telling me that it doesn't go to those; it goes to the people that left Egypt. It says La'ela Ka'ela Lahitzias Hatfeilim. It's coming to tell me that La'ela to these is coming to exclude the children. Anyone that left Egypt, you see, here's the problem: the people that left Egypt had to, in order to get a portion of the land, they had to be in between 20 and 60. That's how they were counted. Let's say someone left the land, that left Egypt, and he was under 20. When it comes to Israel, he's not going to get a portion of the land.
So it was also divided just after Sears right?
Yeah, so when they left Egypt, it was already like, these are the guys that are getting the portion.
Then they all passed away.
And the poor kid that was 19 years old, shows up, he's 59 years old in the land of Israel, like a portion of the land, he doesn't get a portion.
No, passed away in the midbar.
Well,
Passed away in the midbar. So how can you get a portion if they passed away?
their progeny. Yeah.
The only way that he didn't get a portion is
if his father passed away and left him as an inheritor.
His father didn't get a portion. Yes.
No, the way he would get a portion is if his father had a portion and passed away, which probably would have passed away.
But their progeny could be the children that were under 20. So
True.
therefore they would get them.
He would. But if this guy didn't have any of those relatives that would have passed away, he was just a single guy, no relatives, no one died. Well, okay. What does it mean, la'ela ka'ela? That they were just like these people that came into the land that are over 20. Ka'ela, right? This is where they get the over 20 gets this. So too the people that left the land of that left Egypt had to be over 20 in order to get the inheritance. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yonasan Aimer, no, exactly the opposite. People that entered the land of Israel, that's how it was divided. To these will divide to the people coming in. So then what are you going to do with the pasuk that says that it goes according to the tribes of the fathers? Look at this. This inheritance is different than any other inheritance in the world. Usually when it comes to inheritance, those that are living inherit the dead. But over here, the dead inherit the living. So the way it worked according to Rabbi Yonasan, rather, is like this. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yonasan argue a lot in the Mishnayos and Brises. Not Mishnayos, but in the Brises. He says that there's a bunch of people, the 1,730 people that are entering the land of Israel. Each of them get a portion. Let's say that I have two brothers there. They each get a portion coming into the land of Israel. Now we go back to the Yetzer Mitzrayim and we say, 1 second, these two brothers did not leave Egypt, because else they wouldn't be entering the land. It had to be their father had left Egypt. So now we take their portion. We pass these two brothers' portion back to the father, and they split it again. So let's do it different. Let's do, there were two brothers. Let's say there were, how does he do it over here? He divides it like this. He says, Reuven and Shimon left Egypt, but they each have children that come into the land. Let me get this correct. Reuven has, he doesn't tell me who has what. One of them has 10 children and one of them has 1. So there's 11 children here. So what we do is,
so they get the right, but the size is based on the parents.
We take the 11 children's portions, okay? It's Reuven and Shimon. We pass them back to Reuven and Shimon, because these people are entering into land as they pass over to get the coupon, to get the portion of the land. But we don't give it to them right away. We quickly collect it, pass it back to their deceased parents, Reuven and Shimon, and we divide it in half now, because Reuven gets half and Shimon gets half, so that's 5.5 and 5.5, right? It's 11. And then we pass it back to them, to the so if the parents inherit the children, it gets shared equally amongst those parents.
As if it was their inheritance that was given down to their children.
Right. How does it work with the firstborns now? I'm not sure. 2 brothers left Egypt. One of them had 9 sons, and one of them had 1 son. And they had 5 Kurin. The one that had 9 takes.
It doesn't say anything here about it.
10 Kurin, 10 Kur. Pass it back to the father. 5 Kurin, which is 10 Lessa. Each we're going to get 2.5. See, the only confusing thing here is, why should Reuven and Shimon now divide up their portions? I understand Yaakov, when he inherits, now it gets divided to Reuven and Shimon. Why do Reuven and Shimon share?
Because they're getting it from the parents.
I know, but if Shimon has 10 children, pass it back to Shimon, and then they take it again. Why does it go to Reuven? It must be because it's going back to Yaakov. Go back to Yaakov, then it's split between. Yes, that little point was left out of this, but that's the idea. The Kneim.
Shimon's land was thin.
Oh, you mean it's saying
Geographically.
geographically. All right. I'm a Rebbe. Rebbe says, Emshalach Mashal, I'll give you an example how to understand this. What is it similar to? There's two brothers that are Kainim. They were in one city. One of them has one son. One of them has two sons. They went to the granary to get the trumas or whatever. The one that has one son, they gave him a portion. This one has two sons. Gets two portions. This is talking about when there was a deal. The parents made up that they're going to split everything together. So now the two sons come back, and now they have three portions altogether, but they divide it in half. Each one gets 1.5. Yeah. That's his example. Okay. So far, we have two opinions. We have the opinion of Rabbi Yoshia, who says, L'yetzi Mitzrayim. We have the opinion of Rabbi Yonasan that says, L'boy Haaretz, right? Those that entered the land. Rabbi Yoshia and Rabbi Yonasan were the contrast there. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says somewhere in the middle. He says, Le'ela ve'el nischalkarts. It was divided by both. Each one got a portion. We need to satisfy both of these verses. Hakate said, how do you do this? He says, if he came out of Egypt, he takes one of the portions of Yetz Mitzrayim. If he were from those that are entering the land, then it can't be the same, right? It can't be both, right? Because those that, but mikan, let's say you made it through both. You take a portion from here and from here. Now, there's two interpretations here. If Reuven was 20 years old when he left Egypt and he has children, then he passes away. The sons are 20 when they entered the land of Israel. They take their own portions because they came into the land, and they also take their father's portion. That's a simple pshat. Right? They're going to get the double, two portions now. Father and son. So it wasn't divided into 600,000 pieces. It was divided into 1,200,000 pieces. Yeah. That's the way it would. Yesh mefarshim, the Rashbam says in the Rashbam of Mikan Yesh mefarshim says, let's say there was someone that was over 60 years old when he left Egypt. Oh, he's over 60 years old. He doesn't have the decree of dying in the desert. He comes to the land of Israel. Okay, he's only no, he's not 81. He's 100.
Right.
He's 100. Okay, not so bad. He's 100. He's 100 years old. So he's going to get a double portion. He says, Lav Milsi. He rejects this shot. Says, you're not going to get a portion when you enter the land. It says, La'ela. You have to be between 20 and 60. You have to be part of the count.
So
how did he get from Yetzi Mitzrayim?
He doesn't get anything.
He won't get anything. Anyway, okay. Rashbam rejects that. And here goes we're continuing. The continuation is not necessarily the opinion of Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Could be it goes according to Reb Yoshia as well. It says Meraglim. Where did I see that? Okay. Meraglim Yeshua Rekolev not Luchelkam. Meraglim. I'm sorry. Yeshua Rekolev. The portion that of the spies, there were spies that had left Egypt and were sent, right? 12 of them. So 10 of them were no good. And they came to the land of they went to the land of Israel. They came back with a bad report. They ended up dying in the desert. Remember their punishment? They died, the tongues stretched out of their mouths, and the worms came out of the tongues and then went into their belly buttons. And that whole thing in Rashi.
Is that one from each tribe?
Yeah.
Were they like,
So
they weren't the heads of the tribe?
No,
they just-
not at that point. They were important people. But whatever the case is, their portion of the land of Israel ended up going. Who got that portion? Yeshua and Caleb. They got those extra 10 portions.
Yeshua was from
So they got
Yosef.
5, they
Yeah.
got 6 each.
And Caleb was from Yehuda.
So
Yeah. Yeshua was, I think, from Ephraim.
But how did
I don't
mean
remember.
that Yeshua had little pockets in each of the tribes' territories?
I guess so. Or maybe it was divided differently. Maybe
just got a bigger
maybe they just got
portion
another
inside of
portion, and then when it's called out, where
We're missing a lot of people, so the other extra into them also.
what do you mean the other extra?
People were missing a lot of people.
No. According to which opinion? We have 3 opinions here.
Oh, you said that the amount of people that left in 500,
And 3.
500.
Yeah.
And the ones that entered the land was less.
What's more?
Over much than-
Oh, it could have been, well, it could have been less. You're right.
It's just that the portions got bigger or smaller according to the amount of people that were there. So land is still the same size.
Hillel's asking if it wasn't exactly the same amount, there were extra portions of land. The people that left Egypt had a few hundred more. So where did those portions end up? The people entering the land was 200 less. 603,000.
Hallelujah.
601.
Just out there. I'll get
That was the amount of even after
Sure.
just 600.
good.
600,000.
Oh,
601.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And how many left Mitzrayim?
603,000.
603,000. Oh,
I don't remember. I don't remember the numbers exactly. If it's not exact, then we'll have to figure out. Okay. So Mislainanim Vadas Kairach, the Gemara is going to explain that it's really the complainers of Vadas Kairach. People of Kairach, Leilam Chelik Baritz, they didn't get a land. They didn't get a portion in the land. Habanim, not B'schus Aviyim. The sons of the complainers, they get the portion of not B'schus Aviyim, B'schus Aviyim is saying. They're going to get from their parents, either the father's parents or the mother's parents. They didn't exist. The complainers themselves, their portions just got reabsorbed into everyone else, and everyone else got a slightly larger portion, a little grain of dirt instead of those 250 people. Right, 250 was spread out amongst 600,000. Yeah. So the sons, what portion would they get if they didn't have they didn't leave Egypt, right? They were born in the desert. They were 20 when they entered the land, but they were 20 when they entered the land. Why didn't they get from entering the land? If it would be Reb Shimon ben Elazar, then you're right. Then they should get when they enter the land. Gemara is going to say that even if it's divided by those that enter the land, but it could be that we're dealing here with people that were not 20 when they entered the land. They don't get their own portion. Okay. Now the Gemara asks, "My mashma the hayla shemus mati avaysim b'yitz mitzrayim tzu." We said that the land was divided by those that left Egypt, as the pasuk says, "L'shemus mati savaysam," the names of the tribes of their fathers. How do you know that means that the ones that left Egypt? Dilma l'shvatim karmela. Maybe it's referring to the tribes. They inherited according to the tribes. It was just divided by 12 tribes, not by who left Egypt. It says the Gemara answers the Ksiva Nasati Lachem Rashani Hashem. I give it to you as an inheritance. I am God. It's an inheritance from your father. It's referring to the ones that left Egypt. This pasuk was said to those that left Egypt. Okay, let's leave the Gemara right here.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We're up to date.
Rabbi,
Yeah. Oh, Daniel.
there's like a funny Brazilian saying. It says that insanity is hereditary. The parents inherit it from the kids.
I got it from this Gemara.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
what
it
means
seems like
That's what the
I'm
Gemara
sorry?
meant. It's finished. It's simple.
Yeah. It seems a little crazy that the verse in Ezra is referring to Yoav ben Zeruiah. Like that's like so much later, and like there's so many other people. None of the people that are mentioned there, I think, are famous personalities. And it just says Yoav. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
don't know. I didn't look into that. I got my head.
Well, thank you.
Okay, that's lacha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy,
That's my head.
I think the word is honorific.
Honorific, yeah. You mean the title, the Mr.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Honorific. Okay. Okay, I got my head.
Good night.